Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. So my name is Lily and today I'm going to be talking with you about how to use LinkedIn to find jobs. And this is part of Inner Fire, a mentorship program. So let me first make a case. Making a LinkedIn profile could take a long time. So why do you even need a LinkedIn profile in the first place, right? I'm going to make a case that LinkedIn profile can help to showcase your passion and your expertise. So think about this. Say you just applied to a job at IBM, you send your resume to course, you get a call back, they want you to come in for an interview, right? The hiring manager doesn't really know anything about you. One of the first things the person is going to do is go on LinkedIn and look at your LinkedIn profile before you walk in that door. So you have an opportunity to set a good impression even before you talk to the person. How awesome would that be? So I'm going to be sharing with you briefly on how to do this. Now, the second thing that LinkedIn can do for you is that it will help you map out hidden connections that you have. And to me, this is like the best part. I've been a fan of LinkedIn for a long time. And that's why I worked for the company in the past. But there are 7 billion people in the world, and about almost 500 million people now are on LinkedIn, right? So for me, it's helped to make the world a much smaller place. It helped to level out the playing field and make me feel very connected to one another. So in the past, and this is where I'm gonna go deep dive into the second episode of how to use LinkedIn. But imagine you could have been sitting next to a classmate back in college, and that classmate could be working at your dream company now. So you can use LinkedIn to find out all this information and start applying. So I'm just going to be going very briefly about how to create an awesome profile. There are many, many things out there. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty. I just want to highlight three main things that you should focus on. The first thing is you should make your LinkedIn profile shine through with your passion. The second thing is that you should clearly state the impact of your work in your LinkedIn profile. The third thing is that you should ask for recommendations from the people you respect. So let's jump right into it. So first, let me give you an example of how this is Darren is a close friend of mine, and he used to work with me at LinkedIn. So as an example, this is how you can set a good impression even before you walk in the door, right? If you read his LinkedIn profile, you don't know anything about Darren, and you're going to interview him. Immediately, you already see that he presents here in the summary statement, that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I am a student entrepreneur, and I'm an avid believer in chasing the vision wherever that might take you. So even the first line already highlight his vision, what he wants to believe in. So this helped to set a very good impression about Darren even before he walked through the door. Right? So this is going to my LinkedIn profile, and let me highlight with you. There are three things, like I said, you should focus on your LinkedIn profile. The first thing is let your passion shine through. Where you're going to do that is under the summary statement. A lot of people would make the mistakes of saying things like, under the summary, like, oh, I have 5 years of marketing experience. I know these XYZ programming languages. But the thing is, though, they can always scroll down and find that out about you, right? The summary is a place where you talk about your vision, your passion, who you are, what you can do for the company, and where you want to go. Okay, so how are you going to be able to write a summary? You should check out my other video on Tell Me About Yourself. That video will help you to write a short and passionate summary about who you are. For me, I start out with a inspirational quote, and I love Notorious B.I.G. You can quote whoever you want to, to summarize what you believe in. And for me, it's stay far from timid, only make moves when your heart is in it, right? And then I tell a story about who I am, why I'm very passionate about career development and helping young professionals. So immediately, this is the first thing you should highlight. Now, the second thing you should highlight if you're a job seeker is the impact of your work. So let me show you an example how you highlight that. Here under Gartner, so the impact of your work should be very simple, right? This is like a resume. The recruiter is looking at your LinkedIn profile, looking at your resume, trying to understand first what exactly was your day-to-day job, right? So for me, I said in one sentence, in charge of entering the Vietnamese market and winning the biggest companies, right? So I was in a sales role, and my job was to open up the Vietnamese market. And then the second sentence should be about the impact of that work. So for me, in 3 years, I turned Vietnam into one of the most successful markets in Asia. And I measure success not by how many deals I have closed, but by also success of my clients, right? So this is for me the impact of my work that I made, that I helped I helped the Vietnamese market. I have turned the Vietnamese market into a top market for Gartner, and I also help my clients to be successful, right? So this is impact. Now the last thing that you should really focus on your LinkedIn profile that will give you a lot of win is the recommendation. Recommendation is where you can ask your peers, you can ask your former boss, your current boss, your professors, to people who know your work to write recommendation for you, right? So like for example, for me, I have like 2 of the mentees that I used to work with, and they wrote recommendations for me. How you write recommendations is very simple. You just go to your LinkedIn profile here. And then, when you type in LinkedIn, let me type this in for you. Right, you just go to your LinkedIn profile and click on your LinkedIn profile. Then under View Profile As, you can, View Profile As, you can click on this little button here. It says it asks to be recommended. That's it. And then you should ask a person to recommend you for a certain job. Right, so this is where I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to highlight how you should ask for a recommendation. So in asking for a recommendation, you need to be very respectful of the person's time, and you need to be very polite. So this is what I would write. Dear John, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out to ask if you can write a brief recommendation about our work together at XYZ. As you know, I'm deeply passionate about the topic of urban planning, and I'm updating my LinkedIn profile for my job search. Since you are somebody I highly respect, it would be great if you can write a few line of recommendations. Thanks so much for your help, and let me know if there's anything I can be of assistance in return. Cheers, Lily. So the way you write ask a recommendation is that you clearly state what you're asking of the person. You explain that this is your passion, and you explain that this is, that they are somebody you respect. That's why you're asking for this. And then you thank them and you offer some help in return. Very simple, right? So there are many, many other things on how to, make your LinkedIn profile very jazzy, but these are the basic. Let your passion shine through. Make sure the impact of your work is clearly shown, and then ask for recommendations. And of course, the last thing is, I highly suggest that you invest in a professional picture, one where you smile happily and things like that. Yeah. So that's it for this session. In the next session, I'm going to go over how to use LinkedIn once you already create your awesome LinkedIn profile. Okay, stay tuned.